The Extra Point with Ryan Justice is brought to you by The Phone Medic. For the best in cell phone or tablet repairs, The Phone Medic is the only choice for you. The Phone Medic also offers gaming PCs, laptops, and consoles for both gamers and everyday users. Visit one of the Phone Medic locations in Amarillo or Canyon today. And by Macaulay Made. Whether you're looking for a custom cap as the perfect gift or to represent your small business with a high-quality hat, Bobby McCulley has you covered. Wear what Ryan and Andy wear. Wear something that's Macaulay made. The official cap of The Extra Point. The Extra Point is also brought to you by the Amarillo Magic Company. The Amarillo Magic Company is dedicated to bringing amazing magic and illusions to your parties, events, or corporate functions, featuring the amazingly talented Kyle Groves. Make your event or party magical and reach out to the Amarillo Magic Company today.
Hello, football fans. Welcome to The Extra Point with Ryan Justice.
Excuse me if I could talk. Week 10 is here, guys. Already we are hitting the double digits and we are at the halfway point in the season. Welcome, one and everybody, to The Extra Point. I am Ryan Justice, soon to be joined by my co-host for the evening. And right off the bat, guys, glad to be back. Wasn't really feeling good last week, coming off of being sick. So you know how it is with the weather changes. But we are back. We are ready for Week 10. Be sure to hit that like, share, and subscribe button, whether you are watching on Twitch, YouTube, or Facebook. Get notified with The Extra Points. And be sure to share, watch the show, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in tonight. Want to welcome to the show for the very first time, contributor at Press Pass Sports, and one guy who knows the sports a little bit. Welcome to The Extra Point, one Tyler Anderson. How's it going, sir?
It's going. Thank you so much for having me on, Ryan. It's I remember you approaching me not too long ago and being like, hey, do you want to talk like NFL football with me sometime? And I was like, absolutely, sure. And then about an hour ago, you shoot me a message. You're like, you want to jump on tonight? I'm like, yes. So I immediately jump out of bed. I put on I throw on a hoodie and I'm ready to go. Let's talk some football.
All right. Well, I'm excited. Yeah, definitely. That's a great way to wake up. So we'll get right into it. Let's get into hot topics. And of course, the hottest topic of the week is the NFL trade deadline has come and gone yesterday. Some big moves were made. You had, of course, the Quinnen Williams trade. The Cowboys making some moves on defense. They pick up Quinnen Williams and Logan Wilson. Of course, you had some wide receivers get moved. Rashid Shaheed to the Seahawks. Jacoby Myers to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Of course, the big one of the day, which would be Sauce Gardner joining the Indianapolis Colts at the cost of 2 first-round picks. Which trade right off the bat really kind of moved the needle for you coming off of yesterday?
Oh, my gosh. I mean, the Cowboys are trying to shore up their defense. That's the biggest thing. I mean, it's the second worst running defense in the league, and they have to bolster themselves. The other one that really sticks out to me is it's almost a sore thumb is Sauce Gardner going from the Jets to the Colts. I mean, am I seeing the next Bob Sanders here? I mean, I know it's kind of some lore drop, but yeah, I really do think the Colts are just kind of adding more. They're loading. They want to make a really great playoff run. It seems like they're getting into a rhythm now with Daniel Jones, which people were kind of not high on when he initially joined over from the Giants. So to see the Colts really start buying at the deadline instead of selling at the deadline, that tells you that they're ready to make that all-in push and at least get a deep playoff run in them.
Yeah, I got to give them some credit, especially coming off the loss to the Steelers this past weekend. I think they kind of saw what the writing on the wall, what people could be saying with how, hey, they when it comes up to the teams that might actually be in the mix, because then let's face it, the Colts have been beating up on some lesser teams, and they've been doing it by pretty wide margins. Don't get me wrong, Daniel Jones is playing way better than I thought Daniel Jones was going to play. But I look at this and I think they wanted to add some legitimacy. I think they wanted to kind of stop this slip that they might have been on the precipice of before it really got going. Adding Sauce Gardner to that secondary, which is kind of had its ups and downs. I'm looking at the passing defense right now, and if I'm looking at the Colts, they're towards the bottom of the league in passing defense. They've allowed over 2,200 yards already, and they're averaging, they're allowing over 240, 245 yards a game. So adding Sauce Gardner is definitely going to help shore up that secondary where they've been vulnerable against the pass. And I think it's going to definitely, once they start getting into the thick and getting into the playoff run, I think it's going to help them out. As a Texans fan, I really don't like seeing Sauce Gardner twice a year. Don't get me wrong, him and Nico Collins matching up against each other is going to be fun. But I think this was a smart move for the Colts. 2 first-round picks might have been a lot for it, but this definitely shows they are in win-now mode.
Right.
So
they feel like the window's open.
Oh, yeah. I think they know it's open. And, there's reports that they are trying to get Daniel Jones signed long-term. They are trying to get him locked down on on a contract. So that way they don't have to kind of go through this quarterback scramble again. And it looks like if they do, it works out. They also give away A.D. Mitchell. And I think the writing kind of was on the wall after the fumble or him dropping it before he got into the end zone.
Oh.
Which I think that I don't hate that addition for the Jets either, because I think it gives them another weapon outside of Garrett Wilson. And I'll get into what the Jets made away with this later on once I get to 3 up and 3 down. But I believe that was probably the most impactful trade of the day. We'll see how it works out. We'll see if Sauce really was worth 2 first-round picks. But you get to, again, you mentioned the Cowboys. They get Quinnen Williams, who's been really good for the Jets, really helped out that defensive line, and helped turn the Jets into a top 5 defense under Robert Saleh. He goes to Dallas along with Logan Wilson, who had requested a trade from the Bengals. I mean, I guess the question that I'm asking now about the Cowboys is is this enough to really turn around this defense?
I don't know. The answer is probably no, because it's the whole mantra of as long as Jerry Jones is alive, will Dallas see another Super Bowl title? But that remains to be seen. I mean, there's still plenty of high end talent on the offensive side of the ball. Now it's just to get the defense on the same page. And by making those moves, it gives you the impression that, hey, we want to make these moves. We want to not only just get back in the playoffs, but really get back to the NFC Championship. Maybe not so much the Super Bowl aspirations, as long as the Eagles and the Niners and other teams. I mean, especially the Packers who have been a thorn in the Cowboys side of the last decade or so. But I mean, it's making moves in the right direction. However, it's nothing. There's no big game breakers as far as I see. It's shoring up defense. It's not vastly overhauling or upgrading the defense.
No, and I don't think they can do that in season. They had some first round picks to play with, but I'm looking at where they focus this on, and as linebacker and defensive line. But man, that secondary needs help. Mm-hmm. That if I'm being honest, I really feel like they should have gone after secondary. There was probably some guys out there that they really could have used in the secondary that would have helped with this pass defense. I mean, you watch Jacoby Brissett just move the ball through the air all over them. They'll probably get better in the run defense. I think with Quinnen Williams and Kenny Clark, kind of in the middle of the line there. Yeah, you're definitely it's gonna be hard to run on this Cowboys defense. We'll see how Logan Wilson pans out, but they needed secondary help bad.
Yeah.
Bland is kind of out there by himself.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see how the trade deadline moves. Of course, anything on Rashid Shaheed to the Seahawks, that'll probably add a speed element alongside Jackson Smith and Jigba. We'll see how Jacoby Myers plays out in Jacksonville. They've been kind of having some wide receiver issues. Of course, Travis Hunter's on IR. Brian Thomas Jr. hasn't really been what he was in his rookie season. And it feels like the Jaguars needed another weapon on offense that was a bona fide wide receiver instead of trying to be a hybrid.
Right. And then help them contend for that AFC South as well, or at least to get back into the playoffs anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. Which I don't want to see that, but
yeah,
it's
don't want to see that.
My son will. He's probably happy with this.
Okay.
So we move on. This came down before the trade deadline, kind of in between Sunday slate of football, and then of course Thursday night. But the Dolphins fired their GM Chris Grier. I need to speak tonight. They fired their GM Chris Grier, and the plan is to keep head coach Mike McDaniel. I thought after this Thursday game, and I'll get more into this in reactions. Let's focus on the firing now, because Grier had been with them since 2000.
Yeah,
and
it was a long time.
And so he had been the GM since I believe 2016, 2017. And so they fire him and they get ready to keep Mike McDaniel, who I feel like he's been hanging on by a thread since before the season started. There's just been so much turmoil and so much friction and dysfunction on the Dolphins that it felt like Mike McDaniel had no answer for it, and yet he's the one that gets to stay.
Yeah, it's questionable. You're basically giving a guy the boot that's been with your organization since Dan Marino was quarterback. Yeah, like the fallout of Dan Marino, we almost have to call it the curse of Dan Marino, because the Dolphins haven't been relevant since Dan Marino retired. But as far as keeping McDaniel, I still think he's on the hot seat, just with all the dysfunction that the Dolphins have and how banged up. I mean, granted, they're quite banged up, but it's still no excuse. Like, you, as an NFL team, you have to work through the injuries. You have to have it's the next man up. So like, I really do think that the clock's still ticking on McDaniel. I mean, he came in so promising, and he was turning the Dolphins in the right direction. They teased getting in the playoffs, and then towards the end of the season, they would collapse, and then they would collapse, and they would collapse. And now, like, it's like, oh my gosh, the bottom just fell out. And I mean, I just, sometimes you just need to you need to wash that taste out of your mouth. You need to clean house, and you need to be like, okay, all right, we need to have somebody that's, because professional football's a business. You can't sit around and lose for like the last 25 years and still, and avoid fan apathy. That's probably the right word to describe it. Because right at this point, like, the Dolphins are like, all right, well, next year, yeah, especially with the Patriots rising as they have been, and the Bills, I think, are catching fire at the right time. And then, are the Jets turning the corner? Like,
not this year.
Not this year, but
not this year.
Who knows? But yeah, like, it's an arms race, and I think McDaniel's losing the arms race. So I feel like they need a clean house.
I do too, and they did make some trades, and there was some rumors that, hey, they were shopping Minkah Fitzpatrick. They wanted a first for Jalen Waddle. You had Bradley Chubb that was on the block. I feel like this isn't over. McDaniels is going to get fired, and I think if everyone's on the table, I think the Dolphins are going to be open for business after the season ends. And McDaniel is let go. I think that he's going to be a hot candidate to be an offensive coordinator. I really would like, I really would like him to come home to Houston, where he started as an offensive assistant, so we can get rid of the guy that they have right now. But I think Mike McDaniel, they're not playing under Jeep Mike McDaniel either. I think Mike McDaniel is. I don't see why, if they're firing the GM and opening themselves up for business, I don't see why they keep him. Unless they just want to keep some semblance of consistency, or he's got more power in the building than we thought. Just through the end of the season, I don't see him lasting towards the end of the season. I see as we get close to draft time, the new GM is going to want to move in and get picks and get cap space and really and truly rebuild this team how they want it to be rebuilt. But that's one to keep an eye on. Finishing up hot topics, the Chargers, they lose Joe Alt for the season again. They made a trade yesterday for offensive tackle Trevor Penning from the Saints, kind of a Band-Aid, but they've lost both their tackles. They're down to their third or fourth on each side.
Yeah, it's rough.
It's rough for the Chargers right now, and this is huge. I think this probably sinks their season.
Yeah, I mean, because Herbert is doing so much. He is doing an absolute Herculean effort to keep the Chargers competitive, and it just seems like it's just how the Chargers are. Like, if they're gonna have a great season, oh man, they're gonna fizzle out. Or, oh man, it's so tough to be a Chargers fan sometimes. But yeah, just to see somebody like Joe Alt, who has been basically the insurance policy for Justin Herbert, who has been a dynamo, just a really nice distributor of the football, just go down with an injury. It's like, man, can the Chargers ever get one? Can they ever have nice things?
Not only that, but what Omarion Hampton is down. He was their rookie running back that was really starting to catch fire. Of course, you've had receivers in and out. Ladd McConkey hasn't really gotten to where he was this last season. The defense, of course, they lose Joey Bosa, but the defense just really hasn't been what they've wanted it to be this year. It's falling apart, and they're limping along. Credit to them for kind of getting, hanging in it. But I feel like each week they erode a little bit more, and you're not really seeing the Chargers be as dangerous as they looked at the beginning of the season.
Right.
So that'll do it for Hot Topics. We'll go ahead and get right into our game reactions. We kicked off the week Thursday with the Dolphins hosting the Ravens. It was the return of Lamar Jackson. This went exactly how I thought it would. Just complete and total domination by the Baltimore Ravens over the Miami Dolphins.
Oh my gosh. Did it just like it occur like I feel like the Ravens needed Lamar Jackson back sooner rather than later. And fortunately for them, he came back, and he came back roaring with a vengeance. And now with Lamar back, the Ravens could probably regroup, and they can make some noise in the AFC South or the AFC North. Goodness gracious. I need to get my geography together. Make some noise in the North, and maybe steal a playoff spot. And then they can go in as underdogs, because like the last few seasons, they've been favorites. Oh my gosh, the Ravens are so loaded this year. They have the king, Derrick Henry. They have, a traditionally good defense, although the defense has been eroded the last few years. And then, of course, you got Lamar. But, for seeing Lamar go down, it's like, oh no, okay, all right. Are the Ravens going to fall apart? Nope.
They kind of did.
They kind of did for a little bit, but Lamar comes back. He comes swooping back in. They could probably come in as underdogs, and that might be that X factor that the Ravens really need going forward. I know there's still 8 weeks left, but yeah, it's.
I looked at this game and kind of in the group chat that I'm in with a few other guys, a couple former hosts of the show too.
Sure.
I looked at this game and I was like, this was the game where I saw this team finally quit on Mike McDaniel. This was the game where I said, if there's any time where he's going to get fired, where this organization needs to make a move, it is after this game, because those guys went out there and it looked like they quit. It looked like they quit on their head coach. And you saw Mike McDaniel yelling at players. You saw him yelling at coaches. The fake accountability that Mike McDaniel has, and after playing head bro for the last couple of years with the Dolphins, it seems like it's beginning to fade away.
Right. So do you feel like it's more of like a Dolphins, cratering versus a Ravens looking really good, or?
I think it's a mix of both because, you looked at the difference between this Ravens team with Lamar Jackson in it and this Ravens team without him. It's night and day. It's almost like watching two completely different football teams. And of course, with as much of a mess as the Miami Dolphins have been since the jump, this was expected for Lamar to come in and do this. I mean, 4 touchdowns, Derrick Henry running for 119 yards, Zay Flowers catching 64 yards. It's just, of course, you look at any good stat with the Dolphins, and it almost seems like it came during garbage time. But the Ravens just from the get-go, they dominated this game like I thought they would. I believe the spread on this game was a double-digit spread going into this game with Lamar Jackson coming back. And now they've got a favorable schedule. I know I posed this on my buy or sell segment a couple weeks ago where I thought, hey, could Lamar Jackson save this team this season? I was skeptical of it, but I'm looking at their schedule. Their next 5 is Vikings, Browns, Jets, Bengals, and then Steelers. And then after that, they play the Bengals again. So there's a chance they could go on a run. With this, they won 2 in a row after this game. And you've got a Vikings team that's kind of reeling. Now, I feel like their weakness is going to be the defense. So if they are going in, as you said, to the playoffs as underdogs, playoff Lamar absolutely cannot show up.
Yeah.
So
has to be more so regular season Lamar.
Yes. Yeah, we need MVP Lamar to show up, and not playoff Lamar if you are a Ravens fan. So we move on to Sunday in the early slate, the big game. The headliner of that one was the Colts and the Steelers. This was, to me, the first big test for Indy. And the Steelers did what I think a lot of people thought they were going to do, which is they gave the Colts a bit of a harsh dose of reality. I mean, Aaron Rodgers played a great game. The Colts just didn't look like they were really able to get going until the second half, and kind of late in the second half too. I would say it was probably third quarter or so, fourth quarter. Sorry, when the Colts really started to get going, they put 13 points up, but Pittsburgh dropping 17 on them in the second and allowing Aaron Rodgers, kind of do his thing, distribute the ball. Jaylen Warren ran for 2 touchdowns on him. I think you really kind of, in my opinion, I feel like the Colts got exposed a little bit, and that's why they went and picked up Sauce Gardner.
Right, and I think that's one of the catalysts of getting going and getting Sauce was, just their secondary being exposed by Aaron Rodgers. And it seems like Aaron Rodgers is returning to form after the nightmare, which was his run as a New York Jet. But it's, and I'm going to touch on this probably multiple times. It really comes down to the program. The Steelers are in a way better place than the Jets have been. Mike Tomlin, the organization itself, that's solid. And for Rodgers to go in from kind of a culture of not doing so hot and just living with mediocrity to, hey, we'll at least get to the playoffs. Yeah. We have a crew to at least get to the playoffs and at least, maybe wild card divisional round, but that's consistency. And I feel like Rodgers can really thrive in that like he did in Green Bay. I mean, now I'm not saying he's going to become 2010 Aaron Rodgers again or 2012 Aaron Rodgers. No, I mean, I would say he can thrive underneath Mike Tomlin, and he's got the support system. The Steelers defense is still the Steelers defense. I mean, it's been like that for a long time.
I was about to say, they kind of been down this season, but this was the first time they showed up. I mean, and first time the Steelers defense has showed up this season, and kind of the first time we saw, hey, there's the Daniel Jones we all know, where the Steelers forcing 6 turnovers, 3 of them being Daniel Jones interceptions. And I mean, that to me really made the mountain too tall to climb for the Colts. You can't turn the ball over 6 times and expect to win a game.
Right.
So, this may have been one of those blueprint games where the Steelers provided the blueprint to to face, to figure out how to beat the Colts. And I mean, I'm looking at their next game, which is against the Falcons, and the Falcons are still a defense that is pretty high up there in terms of total defense. They're the number one passing defense in the league, and they're number 3 overall defense. So another big test for this Colts offense. And if the Falcons can continue to make them turn the ball over, there may have been something figured out about Indy.
Right. And in the NFL, it doesn't take very long to figure out anybody. No. It just takes one game, and when you're completely exposed, and when you're down, and then everybody else pounces. Yeah. Then you come back down to earth.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I mean, holding Jonathan Taylor under 50 yards, that helps too.
So that's huge.
The big one on Sunday in the afternoon, the nationally televised games, the Kansas City Chiefs going to Buffalo and getting to come back down to earth a little bit. You know, of course, the discussion over the last couple of weeks with the Chiefs kind of looking the way that they have is, are they back? Well, this was kind of a reality check that they might not be as back as you seem, or as they seem to some people, but to other people, this is, hey, like clockwork, the Bills beating the Chiefs in the regular season. Let's see what happens in the playoffs.
Right. Yeah. It always seems like it's almost the same Hollywood script. It's in the regular season, the Bills will always take it away from the Chiefs, and then it flips when they meet again in the playoffs. I mean, yeah, the Chiefs are not as stacked as they have been in previous years. Do I think that like they're taking kind of a dip? No. I mean, they only get better with time. By this, by the time we talk again in January or whenever, we'll be like, all right, well, Chiefs looking pretty good like usual, but who knows? I think this is it's still a big win for the Bills, though. You got to give credit to Josh Allen and crew, because it's anytime where you can hang one on the Chiefs, that's it's really good.
They needed this win too. They needed this win because there's been a lot of talk about the Bills. Hey, they hadn't really beaten anybody, and to go in and play the Chiefs the way that they did, and not just play the Chiefs, but play last year it was, hey, they played them really close. It came down to that last second, kind of big brother run from Josh Allen, and I'm looking at it and going, they kind of dominated the Chiefs in this game. That they didn't really let up. They dominated time of possession. Got they got the same amount of sacks, but winning the turnover battle in this game and having Josh Allen just play one of those clean, no turnover, let Josh Allen go be Josh Allen type of games. And they got the better of the Chiefs. I think this is big for the Chiefs right now, especially if they want, if we're talking in terms of seeding, because now they have potentially a legit challenger in the division with the Broncos. So we could see, hey, Patrick Mahomes might have to play on the road in a few games with the Chiefs in the playoffs, and that'll be interesting if he's got to play multiple games on the road in the playoffs and first round, because the Chiefs are used to having a bye too.
Right, they're used to having the bye and the home field advantage, so it's very alien to see the Chiefs, if they squeak into the playoffs, which I believe they will, to play on the road and have to basically become road warriors to return to the Super Bowl.
And I don't doubt that they can do it. I mean, it is still Patrick Mahomes. It is still Andy Reid. The shine's not off. The shine's not off the penny, so to speak, with this one. I think KC got a little bit of a dose of reality, and I think you got validation for the Bills in the sense that they are as good as we thought they were. They are exactly who they thought they were. They were beating the bad teams the way that they were supposed to be beating them. Granted, the Patriots have gotten a lot better, but that was expected with the amount of cap space that they have. They still have the most cap space in the league.
Right.
With the amount of cap space that they had and what they added, the Patriots were getting better, and the Bills, they got a little bit of a leaky defense. So I would imagine the Patriots could have hung one on them That wasn't out of the realm of possibility, but I feel like they do meet again, and the Bills do kind of get better as the year goes on.
Agreed.
So
Yeah.
I don't think that the division is out of reach for them either.
No.
So
Oh no.
we go on to Sunday Night Football, and more problems for the Commanders. A lot more problems for the Commanders. Of course, you had the big story coming out of this one was just that gnarly Jaden Daniels injury, dislocated elbow. If you haven't watched it and you're sick like that, I'm sure you can find it. But yeah, Jaden Daniels going down, dislocated elbow. So it's Marcus Mariota time in Washington. He's already started a couple games. The Commanders I'll start with them first. They just have not been able to get it going this year the way that they did last year.
Yeah, and it's a bummer because, Jaden Daniels, he's such a easily rootable guy, and the Commanders have been so downtrodden, for so long. And, the old histories, there's a, history doesn't rhyme, or actually history doesn't repeat. It loves to rhyme. And when I when I saw the Jaden Daniels injury, I was like, oh no, RG3. Except that it was not the knee or the ACL tear, it was the elbow.
It was bad elbow.
Oh, it was bad. It was bad. And I mean, yeah, they just haven't put it together. This one might be this one they might call a mulligan and allow Daniels to recover. And, but who knows? He might never ever be the same again too. So it's a bummer.
From some of the reports that I've seen, they avoided the worst case scenario, and even some reports might have been saying that these are. I'll go and reconfirm these, but just some reports saying, hey, there's a chance with dislocated elbow, he could be back this year. I mean, shoot, I've seen wrestlers come back in a couple weeks with a dislocated elbow.
Yeah,
to be able to go do what they needed to go do, just throw that brace on there. Of course, he's not going to be able to throw that big brace on there, but I mean, I couldn't rule out the possibility of him coming back by the end of the season. I don't think the Commanders are going to be in anywhere close to a playoff contention, especially with the way the Eagles are playing in that division this year. But I do think, hey, this is a good chance to go out and maybe play for some draft position to get Jaden Daniels some help with, they need a running back because Eckler, again, like clockwork, he goes down. Trade away Brian Robinson. But go and get Deebo Samuel. But it feels like the chemistry has not been there with his receivers the way it has been, the way it was last year. I know Terry McLaurin had the holdout, and he hasn't really gotten going yet this year either. And we're 10 weeks into the season.
It seems like even before the injury, the Commanders seemed out of sync.
Yeah. Yeah, they just did not seem right. Moving on, we finished up the week with Monday Night Football and Jacoby Brissett starting for the Arizona Cardinals. And, of course, we noticed the big story, I guess, coming out of this was just how well the Cardinals operated with Jacoby Brissett in there versus Kyler Murray. You saw Marvin Harrison Jr. be live up every bit to his name and the type of weapon that he was. You saw the run game get going. You saw McBride get going with in the passing game as well. You saw I think the main thing you saw out of this was efficiency coming from this Cardinals offense. Of course, it's not hard to do against that atrocious Dallas Cowboy defense. But I think with how erratic the Cardinals have been these last few weeks, that was something that was that really stood out in this game to me.
Yeah, the Cardinals, they just seem to be snake bit. They've had collapses, they've had close losses. It's it's one thing after another with the Arizona Cardinals. But Brissett brings consistency and he brings maturity. I think that's one thing he holds over Kyler just a little bit. Each time I see Kyler Murray, it always seems like he's running for his life.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is that a Kyler Murray problem or is that a Arizona Cardinals offensive line problem? And with, Brissett coming in and kind of setting the tone like he had against the Cowboys. Now, granted, it was against a, really not a great Cowboys defense, but you know, it could be just okay. Maybe we
You
ride the
still wanna
hot
see-
hand,
You still want to see efficiency.
right?
And this is the first time that I have seen where people are kind of really giving the long look to Kyler Murray. And of course, he was the subject of trade rumors. People were saying, hey, send him to the Jets. I mean, he can't be worse than Justin Fields. In fact, I think it would be an improvement over Justin Fields.
Right.
But and of course he ends up on IR with the foot. So you've got 4 more weeks of Jacoby Brissett. Some people may be hinting that this is like a soft benching for Kyler Murray. But it's clear the offense runs a lot better with Jacoby Brissett. And one thing that to me really stuck out was just how out of sync him and Marvin Harrison are. They do not look like, whenever they're both in the game together, they do not look like they are on the same page at all.
Right.
And Kyler just cannot get the ball to him. Jacoby Brissett did, and you saw what this offense looks like when he is the focal point of it.
Yeah, and Marvin Harrison Jr., I mean, the apple hasn't fallen far from the tree at all.
No.
Like, this guy's a generational talent. Don't waste him, or don't get him so mad that he wants out of Arizona. I would say, ride the hot hand with Brissett.
Yeah.
He's only getting better as well as more and more he gets familiar with how the Cardinals run things and how the playbook operates and everything. I mean, I would say let him ride the hot hand. I mean, and Brissett's got the hot hand right now.
I mean, he had career highs in receiving yards, career highs in receptions for this game. And of course, they're getting Brissett for 4 more weeks with Kyler being on the IR. That might be all she wrote. That might be all they need to be like, hey, let's figure out a trade for Kyler Murray and at least bring in maybe not Brissett because he is kind of getting older and more susceptible to injury, but maybe let's go out and find our Sam Darnold. Maybe we find our Daniel Jones and get someone in here who can operate and get the ball to Marvin Harrison the way that they need to get into. It's going to be an interesting offseason for several teams.
Oh, absolutely.
Coming out of this year. So that'll do it for game previews. Coming up, it's one of my favorite segments, 3 up, 3 down. But before we get to that, it is brought to you by the Amarillo Magic Company.
The Extra Point is also brought to you by the Amarillo Magic Company. The Amarillo Magic Company is dedicated to bringing amazing magic and illusions to your parties, events, or corporate functions, featuring the amazingly talented Kyle Groves. Make your event or party magical and reach out to the Amarillo Magic Company today.
Definitely want to go check out the Amarillo Magic Company. They have weekly shows. In fact, they have shows almost every day. So got a bunch coming up. They've got a really cool Christmas show coming that they're going to be coming. I think it's called Christmas Through the Eyes of a Child, which that's going to be pretty good. If you haven't gone and seen them and you're in Amarillo, go see them. Kyle is crazy talented and crazy good at what he does.
Tell Kyle that we sent you too.
Definitely. So now it's time for 3 up and 3 down. So Tyler, how this works is we got 3 outstanding performances from the week. Could be anything. Could be football related. Could be something around the house that I'm showing. So mainly keep it football related. And of course, we got 3 down. We have our top of the mountain and factory of sadness for the week. I mean, the up list changed a couple times this week. And I after yesterday, I was like, there's no way that we have a first, we have a 1-win team on the up list for a first time. But I was like, after yesterday, there's no way I could exclude them from the up list. Welcome to the up list for the first time this year, the New York Jets.
Jets, Jets.
There we go. They were one of the teams I was very much thinking about naming the Factory of Sadness Award after. It was between them and the Dolphins. But the Jets are up this week because after yesterday, here are the draft picks for New York. After the trades that they made, they have 2 firsts in the next draft, 2 seconds in the next draft, and 3 first-round picks in 2027. The Jets are primed and ready for a rebuild under Aaron Glenn, or to add pieces, because I'm sure they're not going to keep all of those picks, but the Jets have set themselves up in a just don't screw it up mode with this rebuild that they're going to undergo.
Well, I'm thinking they're putting faith in, Coach Glenn, even after like a 1-7 start. So, I mean, usually you want to give like a coach, like, anywhere, like, unless it's completely disastrous, Nathan Hackett. I mean,
Right?
yeah. But you want to give a coach like, about 3 years, 3 to 4 years to operate, and see how they do. And it's from trading away Sauce Gardner and getting all these picks. It's saying, okay, all right, we're going to give you like kind of a clean slate. Let's see how you can do. Don't mess these up though. Like, cause but I take that with a grain of salt too. Like as much as like, the Jets now have some, some draft assets to work with or some draft capital to work with. Now it's more like, okay, all right, it's make or break time. Like, especially this off season, this coming off season. Yeah, you could take the first season, play for pride, get a few wins under the belt, or you could, you could consider it a mulligan and say, hey, we're building something up. We're putting faith in you. But I feel like this coming off season will probably be make or break for the Jets for at least the next few years.
Yeah, and I mean, I look at this and I'm looking through over the cap right now to see what they have available after these trades and what they probably could have coming up in 2026. And they cleared some cap space. They gave them, not only did they give themselves draft capital, but they gave themselves cap space and they gave themselves room to make some moves. As of right now, they've got 94 million. Looking at the cap space, they'll have 94 million in cap space going into next year. They've effectively got 19 right now. They'll have 94 next year, and in 2027, of course that hasn't been of course next year, but I mean they're over 200 million for 2027, barring before what they do this coming off season. But they did exactly what you want a rebuilding team to do. You got draft capital and you created cap space. I really hope that they give Aaron Glenn room to work because of where he came from and because they said, hey, he was associated with Dan Campbell. Look at what he did for the Lions. And I would imagine they're hoping that Aaron Glenn can bring some of that to the Jets. If you watched his post-game speech after his first win, he said a lot of the same things that Dan Campbell did. Probably minus a few curse words, but it was the same thing about grit and showing your and holding the line and weathering the storm and kicking out all the outside noise, taking some things on the chin because he knows it can get better, and getting these draft assets, getting that cap space that they're going to have at the end of the season or when the new league year starts. That's huge. You saw what it did for the Patriots this year and the fact and what they brought in. And now the fact that they're first place in the division and kind of controlling their own destiny. The Jets very well could do that if they aren't the Jets,
right.
And don't, make Jets moves, but they could very well be in position to get an Arch Manning. If Arch decides to come out, I think he probably needs another year in college.
Yeah, I agree. That's a different rabbit hole for a different day.
Way different rabbit hole. But they're definitely in position to turn this team around quick, and I think that's right where they wanted to be if this season didn't turn out the way that they thought they could do it. And I don't think they're done. I mean, Breece Hall is still on the table. Garrett Wilson's still on the table. I mean, they've got several guys along that defense that are still on the table. So I don't think they're done. I think very well you can see a Jets team with over $100 million in cap space by the time we get to the offseason.
Right. So. And, I think, Ryan, you and I are probably familiar with, Dan Campbell. You mentioned something about the Dan Campbell making those same speeches. And we would be like, oh, well, the Lions are probably going to do Lion things. And now look at the Lions. They're competitive. They're even, I mean, if you really want to, they're in the thick of the NFC North race. but they're still considered title contenders. Like,
Yeah.
even if they're on the outside looking in right now, but there's still 8 weeks left of the season. But as far as the Jets, they're talking about trusting the process. And I mean, yeah, I know it's such an old hat thing, blame the 2012 76ers on that one. But yeah, should the Jets just trust the process and be like, okay, all right, let's see what you can do, because you helped rebuild the Lions, which is near impossible. I mean, that is like expert mode.
Yeah.
To do that with the Jets, that's
like,
that is like survival mode, like survival mode on Resident Evil 2. But yeah, like, I mean, it's doable. It's not impossible, improbable, possibly. And most of the time, sometimes it blows up in people's faces, but you got to trust that process, and you got to let it play out.
If Rex Ryan could do it and take him to 2 straight AFC championships, Aaron Glenn can do it with the assets that he has. Next up on the up list, Sam Darnold, after his performance on Sunday night. Of course, 4 touchdowns, interception, 141 rating, 330 yards. Granted, the Commanders were what the Commanders were, but he's been on a tear. This isn't just from that one game. Sam Darnold has been on an absolute tear these last couple of weeks. And it has just been, I never thought we'd be talking about Sam Darnold being in the MVP conversation, but he is right there in it.
He's no longer seeing ghosts.
No, he's not. No, he's a Ghostbuster.
Right. He's busting ghosts left and right. And, it's interesting with Darnold, because he really had a career renaissance with the Vikings. And I can remember going back, like, I remember like Gus Frerotte. And I mean, Gus Frerotte was not great with the Redskins. He goes over with the Vikings. He has a career renaissance. He does really well. I mean, I'm seeing the same shades, just different colors. Like, Darnold makes a stop in Minnesota. He has a really good year because he has pieces around him. And then now he goes to Seattle and he is deadly efficient. I mean, you take away that one interception, that is, you turn that one interception to like 1 completion. He's only had 2 incomplete passes. That's incredible.
Passer rating.
Yeah.
That's like, no doubt, that's a perfect passer rating if he doesn't have that interception. Well, and here's the thing too, you want to talk about that. He went like 14 of 14. Like, he didn't have a incomplete pass until that interception. Like, he was on fire in that game. And I imagine Minnesota is sitting there kind of kicking themselves for not signing him.
Yeah.
Especially with the way J.J. McCarthy has played this year.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't not have an MVP conversation without him in it. Just can't.
Right. And it comes down to the program too. And
exactly.
I mean, Seattle's been a relevant team since, probably, even before they had Russell Wilson. It was with Matt Hasselbeck and with Mike Holmgren. Oh my gosh. They're now like a model of consistency, and like, maybe it's like, above average to good. Even with the Super Bowl years, they were excellent, but now it's like a model of consistency. And that's what Sam Darnold needed. Like, when he was with the Jets, he was seeing ghosts. He was dealing with the Patriots twice a year. That would make me see ghosts.
Yeah.
And
the Jets were just a dumpster fire.
Yeah, they were a dumpster fire when Darnold came in. But now that Darnold has been with 2 pretty good programs, he's thriving. And that was the same, that's, I mean, I'll turn back, I'll turn it back a few moments to where, Aaron Rodgers was with the Jets and now he's with the Steelers, and now he's actually doing really well. Even though he's like, Baker Mayfield, like, I mean, that's a prime example. Like,
he's leading the MVP conversation in my book.
He is. And I mean, I mean, I have a good friend of mine that's like a huge Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan. And he's like, I am totally kicking myself because I did not put that much stock in Baker Mayfield.
But he's not the only one. Like,
right.
A lot of people did. And it's the same with Sam Darnold. Like, he's having the same career path that Baker Mayfield has.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah.
But this week's top of the mountain. My son's I can't not give it to him, even though my son is gonna let me know about this. Cam Little, man, 68-yard field goal, new NFL record. He hit the 70-yarder in preseason, so we know what he's capable of. I mean, he hasn't had, other than that, he hadn't really had a great season. But for this week, setting the new NFL record with the 68-yard field goal, top of the mountain worthy.
Do you feel like this is going to be a trend? Because I feel like because of the training regimen of NFL kickers these days and how powerful their legs are, even like when they're down, like say sea level compared to like Denver, where, you know, like Jason Elam would kick, you know, 63-yard field goals. And it's no longer, you know, I feel like it's a sign of the times, where now, like, I can honestly see 68, 69, 70-yard field goals. And I mean, what will really surprise me someday is, like, you know, there might be a day where we're like, whoa, like that's a new NFL record. That's 75 yards. Like you only have to advance like 20 yards and then try to go for a field goal. Like,
that
oh my gosh.
Well, I think it's those new K balls that they're using too.
Right.
Those new K balls that they're allowing kickers to use. The new, you know, the new work that they're able to get with them, and kind of these special kicking balls that they have that's allowing this to happen. I mean, again, he hadn't really been good this season, but this is on trend for these new, you know, these longer field goals that we've been seeing, you know, in the NFL. And you see him try. I mean, he nailed it in the preseason. A lot of people thought that should have counted. And it wasn't a real high kick either. It was very much a straightforward kick. If you
it was a line drive.
Yeah, very much a line drive. But he nailed it. And you're right with the way that you know, just their legs plus these K balls that everyone's using. Yeah, I very much think soon, probably within the next couple of years, we're gonna see a 70-yarder. We're gonna see a 70-yarder in the NFL. I very much see it. So we went 3 up. We're gonna go 3 down. First up on the down list is those Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, man.
I put them on the down list partially because of the trades. We knew the defense was bad. Of course, that going in, you knew. And I've said this before. I said this at the end of last year. I said this during the previews. I don't hate the Micah Parsons trade. I thought it was the logical thing to do because you weren't going to be able to keep him, Dak, and CeeDee Lamb under contract and field a credible team. Granted, you're probably going to field the team of attention that Jerry Jones wants, but I feel like you weren't going to be able to get what you wanted get something that would be a sellable product with keeping all of them under contract. You needed draft capital, you needed cap space, and on top of that, with the way that they handle their contract situations, you knew that was kind of headed for disaster anyway. What I'm being down on the Dallas Cowboys for was you have the worst defense in the league, and where do you go, or the second worst defense in the league, and where do you go for defensive help? The worst defense in the league. You get Logan Wilson from the Bengals, and I mean, it's not like, okay, you took like one step up on a very long staircase. I mentioned it earlier when we were talking about the Monday night game. I don't feel like they got help in the right areas. I feel like they linebacker, yeah, but their biggest need was in the secondary because they're okay at stopping the run. Kenny Clark has really helped out in that area. You know, of course they can get better rushing the passer, but that's partially why you got those picks. You know, you kind of eat it for a season, at least stop the bleeding, and then go get your pass rusher next year. They need secondary help. And if Sauce Gardner was on the block, Jerry probably didn't want to give up 2 first-round picks, although he has before. That he seemed like Sauce Gardner seemed exactly the type of guy that would fit in for the Dallas Cowboys, and he didn't go get him. That would have instantly helped out that secondary, and instantly I feel like given a lot of validity to this defense and elevated them up a couple notches. They just made the wrong move in my book.
Yeah, I mean, but like you said, I mean, this is where I'll back you up on this. So, like, Sauce would command so much, so much assets. And, you don't want it to be another Micah Parsons situation where you're almost too top heavy. Yeah, Micah Parsons is, a fantastic defender. And I mean, yeah, he's near generational. However, like, yeah, otherwise you're gonna have subpar players like around him, and he can't stop 11 other guys by himself. Like he just can't. So like, I mean, yeah, I feel like the Cowboys made a lateral move with what the moves they made at the trade deadline. But also, there's still hope with the draft. I mean, the Cowboys aren't exactly going to have a terrible season. I feel like the NFC East is too open for that. Like following the Eagles, I mean, I feel like the Cowboys can sneak in and get a wild card spot. They got enough talent on offense. It's just, can we get the defense to come along, or at least be some semblance of a defense as time wears on? But we'll see.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I don't know about playoffs for them though. I get what you're saying though. Next up on the down list, in keeping with the Micah Parsons theme.
Oh, it's a Micah Parsons connection.
Next up on the down list, the Green Bay Packers. I mean, 2 losses to teams that they are clearly better than, where their defenses absolutely shut this offense down. And granted, Carolina is a top 10 defense. Cleveland's the number 2 defense in the league. And Carolina actually dropped a little bit after some of the losses that they have. But the Packers just stumbling over these teams that they should easily dominate. And not only did this happen again to them, where it was just a low-scoring game, defense won the day on this, it happened at Lambeau. Like, the Panthers went in, and with Bryce Young playing as awful as he's been playing, Rico Dowdle carrying the entire team, and they lost. Like, they went in and they got beat up on their home turf in historic Lambeau Field. I did not see this happening twice to Green Bay.
Oh no. The Packers, like, I mean, they're playing down, and
way playing.
Yeah, down. way down. In any other alternate timeline, yeah, the Packers would handle the Browns, they'd handle the Panthers. However, that's not the case. And I mean, you kind of wonder, is it more of a coaching issue, or is it more of a personnel issue? I don't think Jordan Love's that bad.
No.
I don't think the guys that are around him are bad at all. The Packers always seem to like really develop these guys, and they just come out of the woodwork and they become great players. Could it become more of an issue on the coaching side or the play calling side versus the personnel side, at least for the Packers offense?
I mean, statistically, other than what Rico Dowdle did to them, they handle business. Jordan Love throwing for 273 yards. Granted, he didn't throw a touchdown. Neither did Bryce Young, though. They both threw interceptions. I mean, Josh Jacobs averaging over 5 yards a carry. He gets a touchdown. Romeo Doubs, 91 yards on 7 catches. Christian Watson had a couple of big catches. I think the big thing here, the other thing that tripped him up, was the Tucker Kraft injury.
Oh, yeah. And Tucker Kraft is so good.
Yeah.
Timberlake, South Dakota, shout out.
Yeah, there you go. I don't think they were able to adjust. And that's going to be a hard adjustment for them this season, because he's been a trusted guy for Jordan Love. But the good thing is they have weapons. More Josh Jacobs, which worked for them last year. Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, and maybe the number one, their first round pick, Matthew Golden, begins to step up. And we finally kind of get to see air it out a little bit more. I know 273 yards is kind of airing it out, a decent amount, but maybe we see the Packers kind of stretch the field a little bit more.
Yeah, like maybe they can go a little more aggressive, or at least get, maybe establish things with Josh Jacobs on the ground, and then start spreading things out, reel them in and then hit them with a knockout blow. So exactly. That's possible. I mean, granted, we're still in the middle of the season. we could be like, okay, Packers are down now, but are they really out? My answer is no.
No, I don't think they are, but they can't. They can't lose many more games like this.
No, not to the Panthers or the Browns.
So this might be the time of the show where I rant a little bit.
By all means, it's your
I
show.
had this one. You haven't been on hand for one of these yet, because this week's Factory of Sadness goes to Nick Caley, Texans OC Nick Caley. He's their first year play caller. This season they are 0 for 10 inside the 5-yard line, and if we're being honest, it's inside the 3 that they're 0 for 10 on. They cannot, I don't know how they get scared to use the quarterback sneak when they get to the goal line or in short yardage situations. They're the worst red zone offense in the league. Statistically, they're a little bit better than they were last year under Bobby Slowick, but it's like the Texans can't quit this Patriot way stuff. They can't quit. They're addicted to it. We thought, hey, by bringing in DeMeco Ryans and Bobby Slowick, you get a little bit more of the San Francisco stuff in there. But Bobby Slowick, he couldn't adapt or adjust, or I feel like he kind of got a little too big for his shoes in some cases because he was just doing things that were not working and sticking to them, much like Nick Caley is doing now, but it's the Patriot way stuff. If I never hear the words game plan offense again, it will be too soon. The league needs to quit the Patriots way to begin with. The Texans are the biggest offender because they repeatedly go to it, and it doesn't work. You don't have Tom Brady. You don't have that offensive line. You don't have Bill Belichick. And it's not like they're getting out of a time machine from 2007 to come save you and teach everybody this. This stuff needs to be out of the league. You're ruining a really good, young, talented quarterback in CJ Stroud, who, by the way, is out with a concussion this week because you went bargain shopping on the offensive line because, hey, guess what? The Patriots were known for bringing in bargain shop players, turning them around and making them look like superstars. This needs to stop. That the Patriots were an anomaly in sports, much like the Yankees in the early 2000s. That doesn't happen very often. You're not going to recreate something that was dominant for 20 years. And by the way, had plenty of problems within the building and within the organization that just didn't leak out because guess what? They were in the Super Bowl every other year. This needs to stop. Nick Caley, he needs to be fired at the end of the season. And I'm very scared that because of how Nick Caserio is, because of how GM Nick Caserio is, because of how the owners are sometimes, I'm very scared that Nick Caley is going to get shielded and they're going to give him another year. I'm at the point where Caserio needs to go. Anyone associated with John Carroll, anyone associated with the New England Patriots that is in the building for the Houston Texans, they need to go. They need to be gone. Because this needs to stop. Somebody have an intervention for this team. Send them to rehab. Send them to Patriot Way rehab, inpatient rehab, something. It needs to go because we're at a time. I know one of Nick Caserio's favorite things to say was process over results. We're past that time now. That was relevant when the team was rebuilding, when you had a televangelist in the building running the operations, when you were bringing in David Culley, who the hell is that, to be your head coach, when you're bringing in Lovie Smith to be a Band-Aid. You have the talent now. You have the assets. You got the guys on the field, minus the offensive line that you need to go rebuild. You've got those guys on your roster to go and win a championship. You have a Super Bowl caliber defense. Why are we playing these games? Why are we playing favoritism with your rookies and going through this whole rookies don't know anything mentality when you've got an explosive player like Jalen Noel, when you've got a really good pass catching back who also has the talent to be your running back number one in Woody Marks? Why is Jaden Higgins almost an afterthought when you traded up to go get him? Again, this way has not worked, and it hasn't worked for a long time because you don't have Belichick and Brady. It's time to stop it. You're the Factory of Sadness this week, Nick Caley.
Okay, so this reminds me, what was it? The show, it was called Intervention. And the fans have to confront, the owners, the McNair family, right? And be like, I just want you to know that I love you. And then the McNairs are like, like, the best cry ever. And I mean, you're completely right. Like the Patriot way it was an anomaly. The game's changed, it's evolved, and it continues to evolve. And I feel like when you're down in the red zone, you really want to be aggressive. You want to step on the opponent's neck. I mean, that's just football 101.
Don't get cute.
Yeah.
Hey, that's one of the things in the league that annoys the crap out of me is when you have a chance to be aggressive and just punch the other team in the face and you decide to get cute. It's like the MMA fighter that starts taunting and then the dude just punches him in the face and knocks him out. That's exactly what it is to me.
Floyd Mayweather if he steps inside a UFC ring, right?
Like dude's sitting here doing this and all of a sudden, bam, and he's asleep. It's just that's exactly what it is to me.
Yeah. And the Texans have so much talent. I mean, I honestly feel like if they can adjust their play calling and they can get their rookies involved, because they have 2 talented wide receivers from Iowa State and 2 of the best receivers that the Cyclones have had in recent years, and they don't have them involved. And you have one of the most talented young quarterbacks in the league in CJ Stroud. I mean, the Texans have a lot going for them. You have Derek Stingley Jr. on the other side. Shout out Derek Stingley of the Albany Firebirds of the Arena Football League, man.
There you go.
They have so much talent, and I look at them as like a Super Bowl contender, but the play calling is just holding them back when you really just need to open up the playbook and be like, all right, guys, all right, let's have some fun. We can have fun with and that's when teams really thrive, is when they can open up the playbook, they can really have fun, and then rely on your young playmakers to make plays happen and put points on the board. And believe me, the results are going to equal more W's than more L's. And if you take an L, at least you're entertaining while doing it. So
yeah, I mean, I don't know if he's capable of doing it. That's the thing. You watch him and watch some of the plays that he calls, and it is clear that he is so far over his head that he is. I mean, is he looking at coach suggestions on Madden? Like, if that's the case, then I can call plays for the Houston Texans right now. I mean, like I don't look at this and see. That's one of the things that gets to me is when the operation just is horrible top to bottom with any team, when it's just bad decisions being made. Like, why are you calling this play when the obvious, and like Russell Wilson at the goal line throwing a pass instead of running it with Marshawn Lynch, who had been running it down the Patriots' throats that entire drive. I mean, it's just things like that where you decide to get cute and you get fancy for no reason, and it ends up biting you in the butt. I really hope that the move that they make after this season is firing Nick Caley and getting Mike McDaniel. He is familiar with DeMeco. He is familiar with the Texans. He can, and the other thing too is they hire Nick Caley, but they don't allow him to hire his staff. So they kept O-line coaches, wide receiver coaches, quarterback coach, but he's been with CJ since he's been in high school. Mm-hmm. But he doesn't get to hire his guys. They tried to do a plug-and-play offensive coordinator, much like they tried to do with David Culley, who didn't get to hire his own staff. Don't get me wrong, it's not like David Culley was going to matter, but they do this kind of stuff. Nick Caserio does this kind of stuff, and this is the kind of stuff that they need to get rid of. I really feel like offensive line coach needs to be gone, and anyone associated with John Carroll and the New England Patriots, that includes Nick Caserio, they probably need to be gone at the end of the year. And it needs to be a new GM who is, I don't want to say in win now mode, but he's not sitting here talking about process over results like he's at a TED Talk. And they need to bring in Mike McDaniel, allow him to bring in his staff, whether that means bringing Bobby Slowett back as some kind of passing game coordinator like he is right now with the Dolphins, although that's not really going well. Mm-hmm. But they need to bring Mike McDaniel back, somebody who is an experienced play caller that knows what to do in those certain situations and knows how to get this offense going. That's what needs to happen for me. But that'll do it for 3 up and 3 down. That was an eventful one.
That was very eventful.
Eventful one for
I was holding on for dear life.
There you go. Hey, it got bad. You should have heard the Josh McDaniels one. It was very. Again, the Patriots way does that to me.
Yeah.
But that'll do it for 3 up and 3 down. Next up is Buy or Sell. Buy or Sell is brought to you by Macaulay Made.
And by Macaulay Made. Whether you're looking for a custom cap as the perfect gift or to represent your small business with a high quality hat, Bobby Macaulay has you covered. Wear what Ryan and Andy wear. Wear something that's Macaulay Made. The official cap of the Extra Point.
Definitely want to go check out Macaulay Made, and you definitely want to like, share, and subscribe because whether we hit 50 followers on Twitch, 500 followers on Facebook, or 200 followers on YouTube, whatever happens first, we will give away one of these awesome Macaulay Made Extra Point hats
They're
that we
pretty
have
sweet
available.
hats.
There we go. Yeah, we give away one of those. So if we want to trigger that giveaway, we need to get to either 50 on Twitch, we need to get to 200 on YouTube, or we need to get to 500 on Facebook. So go like, go share, go subscribe, guys. Make sure you hit those buttons, get notified when we are on every Wednesday night at 8:30. So now it's time for want to hear from you guys. It is time for Buy or Sell. Light up the chat, guys. Of course, feel free to do that the entire time. Want to hear what teams you guys are representing. Want to hear where everyone's from. But it is time for Buy or Sell. Let us know in the chat whether or not you are buying or selling the takes that I am throwing at you. Tyler and I are going to do the same. And we start off with this one. We kind of hinted at it earlier, but Buy or Sell, is Carolina for real? I'll start it off. Carolina has won 4 of their last 5. And you've got Rico Dowdle, who has had 2 games back-to-back over 200 yards. You've got a defense that has been in the top 10 at times, played well, but they've had some games. The Buffalo game really knocked them down quite a bit. But the drawback to it is Bryce Young's not playing well. No one else on the offense is stepping up. And it really feels like a lot of times these Panthers games that they are winning, they're escaping. So, chat, Tyler, Buy or Sell, is Carolina for real?
Oh, goodness gracious. I may have to sell on the Panthers just because it really starts on the quarterback. It really does. The quarterback is the most important position in all of football. Back in the day, it used to be the running back. Not so much anymore. Not for the last 40, 50 years. But Carolina, Carolina, I will say conversely, they do have a winnable slate. They have a Saints team that's down. They have a Falcons team that, great defense, but really not a whole lot of offense. So it's going to be bowling shoe ugly game. And then they don't run into the Buccaneers until the tail end of the season. So with, matchups against the 49ers and the Rams along the way, they can still win some games. However, could they make it to the playoffs? Could they squeak in? My answer is no.
Not with 2 of your last 3 being against Tampa, but they're in a better place. They've already matched their win total from last year. And I don't know. Bryce Young is one of the most frustrating things to me because he was so good in college. So good. You looked at him, even though he didn't really have the size, he was so good. You looked at him and it was like, that's NFL passing right there with some of the moves he was making, some of the decisions that he was making. Size couldn't really be that big of a deal because we've seen small quarterbacks in the league. We're about to talk about Kyler Murray. Dave Canales came in, I don't know. He had Frank Reich, who's been pretty good with quarterbacks, and now he's got Dave Canales, who he feels like Dave Canales and his coaching job kind of feels like what the entire offense is. They're kind of holding on by a thread. And don't get me wrong, Rico Dowdle is carrying a lot of weight. And he's earned the number 1 running back spot. And I like the fact that him and Chuba Hubbard make a pretty good combo. I'm just not buying them. I'm not buying them either. I'm selling on this because I just don't think they've got some good wins under their belt. Of course, they beat a top 3 defense like a drum with Atlanta. They need more consistency on offense for me for this. Next up on buy or sell, we hinted at this earlier with the trade deadline. This is kind of more going towards the offseason now. With Jacoby Brissett getting an extended look at starting quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals. Buy or sell, chat, Tyler, should the Cardinals trade Kyler Murray?
I think they should at least explore it. See what happens. There's nothing wrong with like just saying, okay, let's send out some feelers. See what we can get. Kyler's not playing up to snuff, and he would rather play Call of Duty than check out his playbook. I watched too many urinating tree videos. I apologize. But yeah, like I wouldn't be against, if I'm the Cardinals, I wouldn't be against shopping Kyler Murray and see what you can get out of him and ride Jacoby Brissett, because Jacoby Brissett is bringing out the best out of Marvin Harrison Jr. And I mean, and like I said earlier, I was like, each time I see Kyler Murray, it looks like he's running for his life every single time. And, eventually you're going to pay for that. You're going to lose your speed as Father Time's undefeated. Eventually Kyler Murray is going to slow down. And what's going to happen when that happens? He's going to, instead of getting big gains or escaping defenders and getting touchdowns, he's taking 10, 20-yard sacks, which really set your offense back. So but could you shop him around? I would say yes. And as far as the Cardinals should trade Kyler Murray, I would just kind of start dipping my toes in the water and seeing what happens.
Here's the interesting thing about Kyler Murray is it's almost like this came a year too early, because I'm buying that they should, by the way, like I very much am buying that they should. If they trade or cut Kyler Murray after the 2027 season, there's a $0 dead cap hit to their contract. I'm looking for what it would be before then. But they're in a spot where the cap hit isn't going to cripple them. And I still think Kyler Murray's good enough to where there might be a team willing to give up a first-round pick for. Maybe. Definitely a second for Kyler Murray and maybe a player. I feel like there's a deal that could be worked out that could be beneficial for both teams, because maybe Kyler Murray just does need a change of scenery. There's plenty of teams out there that could use him. Plenty of teams out there that could definitely there you go. Kyler Murray's an NFL starter. He could be backup. I think I would like to give him a change of scenery and see what he looks like with a starter on a different team. But I do feel like the trade should happen. I do feel like the Cardinals could use some assets. Again, maybe they get a quarterback. Maybe they find one of these teams that's got a starter tucked away as a backup. Not like Kirk Cousins or anything, but maybe they've got a starter tucked away as a backup and somebody who's kind of auditioning. And definitely could get some assets out of that. But they need a steadier hand at quarterback. And Jacoby Brissett is proving that. And the fact that him and Marvin Harrison just are not on the same page, Harrison, I think, has a higher ceiling than what Kyler Murray does right now. And I definitely think the Cardinals could benefit more. Both of them, I think, could benefit more from a trade. So this was the question coming out of the Sunday night game. And this is an interesting discussion. Buy or sell, Jaden Daniels should have been benched in that Sunday night game, avoiding his injury against the Seahawks. I'll go ahead and start with this one. I am selling that, because you watch what happened the week before with Bo Nix and the Broncos getting dominated by the Giants, and they dropped 33 in the fourth quarter. I don't think you take him out. Again, obviously hindsight's 2020, but I think any head coach is going to sit there and say he is our best chance to win. Deebo Samuel, right? Being in there is our best chance to win. I think it was one of those freak things, on a field that's got a lot of freak injuries.
Yeah.
But
Oh
I
my
just,
gosh.
I feel like with and I get, the any given Sunday, whatever cliche you want to throw at it. I feel like you still could, you want your best chance to win out there unless it is absolutely a given that you're not going to win. And again, you just watch the Broncos put 33 up in a quarter. I feel like he should have been out there fighting until the end in that game.
Are you somehow reading my mind? Because I'm saying the same thing. You never know. With the NFL, like, the Denver New York Giants game a few weeks ago, you can hang 33, 35 points in a quarter and not break a sweat. It's not over until it's over, unless somehow, someone. I mean, this isn't like college where, this is Ohio State beating up on Akron, or is it beating up on Kent State or whatever?
Alabama and like DeVry University or something.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If DeVry University ever trotted out a team, but yeah, like, I mean, I think you have to play your best players, and at this point of the season was not, I mean, until the injury, the season was not completely lost on the Commanders. The Commanders could have easily had like that one shot in the arm, that one jolt, turn them around and say, okay, all right, now we're on to something. Now we can build. Now let's string together some wins. And okay, all right, let's go fight for that playoff spot. Let's see if we can take a few, like we could take some away from some divisional rivals. We could take some away and somehow sneak in. And if we can sneak in, then people will be like, okay, that NFC title game appearance is no fluke. We made it in. Now we can build something. Now we can really put together something really special and get the heck out of, the old FedEx Field or whatever it's called now, and have our quarterback for the future. But Jaden Daniels getting hurt, man. I feel for the, gosh dang, man. I don't even remember. Yeah, like it's like for the fandom of Washington. It's rough.
Yeah, no, and I mean it's one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't decisions. But yeah, again, I'm glad we're in agreement on that one. Last on buy or sell, Drake May for MVP. Right now, currently, according to DraftKings, he is second in the odds behind Josh Allen to win MVP at plus 400, meaning if you bet $100, you win 400 on it for that one. But Drake May right now second on the odds board for MVP. Buy or sell, he's got a legit shot at this.
I do too. For the last few years, like the Patriots haven't been themselves. And even last year, Drake May was showing flashes of brilliance. And now with Mike Vrabel coming in as head coach, I really feel like, Vrabel's found his quarterback in Drake May. And Drake May is really, he's really elevating his game. And it's one of those things where, like, I mean, I've touched on it many times. It really comes down to the organization. It comes down from the top. And the Patriots, for the last 20 years, and even if you go back to Pete Carroll and Drew Bledsoe, even then they were really good. They were contenders. They were kind of like, but the giant really awoke about 2001. And for Drake May to come in and really elevate his play and really elevate the team around him, that really shows, okay, all right, the Patriots are again, could they be the evil empire again? It's just, different coat of paint. But I mean, I would say yes. Drake May is, he's, but still the season's young. You never know. You could run into an injury. The Patriots could crater. It could be something devastating that can happen, and where Drake May could lose it. But I feel like right now it's really his race to lose.
No, yeah, I look at it and I think what they did around him too this offseason, getting him Stephon Diggs. Of course, they had a decent defense. I think some of the shenanigans that had been being played, where Gerard Mayo is your head coach. You're not really seeing that. And of course, Josh McDaniels coming back and being the OC, that's his role. Like, that, to me, that's his niche, is to be the OC, and I guess be the OC of the Patriots. But he's really kind of helped step up and develop Drake May. I believe he can win it. I think it's all depends on if the Patriots can sustain this success. I think it depends on if they can keep going and win, especially if they win this division with Josh Allen being in the same division as Drake May. If they can take this division home, a lot of it is going to be on Drake May, and a lot of it is going to be the fact that he finally got weapons around him, and we're seeing what he can do. You know, we're seeing what happens with a young quarterback when you surround him with the talent that he needs to be surrounded with. I think he very well could win it. Now, don't get me wrong. He's going to have, again, like I said, he's going to have to consistently play at this high level if he wants to pass Josh Allen. He's going to have to get into the playoffs and possibly even take the Patriots on a deep playoff run, because Josh Allen's been there. He's been there time and time again. So to me, I think if Drake May wants to really seal this MVP, it's got to be AFC Championship at least for the New England Patriots. I don't know if they can get there, but I definitely think if he continues to play at the level that he's playing at now, it's definitely not out of the realm of possibility.
Right.
So that'll do it for Buy or Sell. We got 2 more segments left, and then, guys, we're going to call it a night. But this will be game previews, and, we'll get right to it. So we kick off Thursday night. If you guys need a good nap, you can watch this game. It is the Denver Broncos hosting the Las Vegas Raiders. Denver's 9.5-point favorites in this one. They got one of the best defenses in the league. Sean Payton calling one of the better offenses in the league. The Raiders are just a mess. We're hearing rumblings about, maybe they have buyer's remorse about Pete Carroll. Sign Tyler Lockett. This feels like they're trying to recreate the Seahawks, but the shine is just off of it. Like, it's not there anymore. Mm-hmm. For the Raiders. For the Broncos, they weren't really active at the trade deadline, but they didn't really need to be. Bo Nix has his moments where he doesn't look like he's quite taken that next step yet. And then you've got moments with Bo Nix where he's just like, oh my God, this is like, he's the man. Don't think it's going to be hard for him to have stutter steps against the Raiders. So I like the Broncos in this one, and I think you do too.
Yeah, the Broncos are a quiet 7-2. Although the comeback win against the Giants, that was a big deal. But look at the other wins that the Broncos have had. A 13-11 win over the Jets. I mean, like, for a Broncos fan like me, that's very frustrating. It's like, okay, all right, where is, like, and I get it. There's always that worry of a sophomore slump, especially with Bo Nix. And I do feel like with time and with Sean Payton, being there as that consistent force, I believe that Bo Nix will get better with time. And I have complete faith in Sean Payton. I never would have been like, oh, well, the Broncos have Sean Payton now. That's great. Back when he was coaching the Saints. But yeah, the Broncos have one of the best defenses in football. It's fantastic to see, especially with Patrick Surtain just locking down guys. And great teams are built on great defenses, and you don't have to have the greatest offense. I mean, the 2000 Ravens won the Super Bowl with an amazing defense, but they had Trent freaking Dilfer as quarterback.
Or Brad Johnson with the Bucks.
They're Brad Johnson with the Bucks, and Brad Johnson was never that bad. I'll defend Brad Johnson all day because he was halfway decent with the Vikings. But yeah, like, Bo Nix doesn't have to be good right now to where he has to carry the team on his shoulders. His defense is already doing that for him, and the defense is doing it. So I got the Broncos by a safe 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, and again, it's a matter of, hey, this is what happens when you have a competent when you have a competent offense to back up a really good defense. I mean, yeah, they're just so much better than the Raiders right now. So I've got them running away with this one. New England goes to Tampa. Both of these teams, again, two first place teams in their divisions, two teams looking to make a deep playoff run. Tampa 2.5-point favorites with the over under at 48.5. This should be a really fun game to watch in the early window this Sunday. Baker Mayfield, Drake May, potential Super Bowl matchup.
Possibly. As long as
this is the Brady Bowl too. I mean,
yeah,
these are the only two teams that Brady's played.
It is, and Baker Mayfield, he just loves to play angry too. Always with a chip on his shoulder. I think I went with the Patriots on this one because they're 4-0 on the road. They are a dangerous team when they're wearing the road whites. And I have them probably just by a slight edge, no more than like 3 points over the Bucks. But the Bucks are, Baker Mayfield is dragging the Buccaneers kicking and screaming to a great season. It's just, can they keep up with Drake May with how well he's been playing as of late?
I think the Bucks are getting help. I think the bye week is going to help the Bucks because that they're coming off of that. Baker, again, you just talked about the MVP odds. He's third in the MVP odds. Mm-hmm. And I feel like with Emeka Egbuka playing the way that he's playing, they're getting Bucky Irving back hopefully soon, if not this week. Again, the bye week does heal a lot of things. Mike Evans, of course, he's out for the season, but Godwin's still there. Cade Otton's still there. They still got a good defense. This is going to be one of the bigger tests, and I feel like Todd Bowles and Baker Mayfield are a little bit more tested in these type of games. And the Bucks do play well at home, so I like Tampa in this one, but it is going to be close. I think it's going to be a good showcase of two quarterbacks who are trending way up in the league right now. And I feel like this is going to be one of those games that we look back at and go, that's the future right there for this league.
And my best friend is going to be so mad at me for picking against the Bucks.
Los Angeles and San Francisco. These games are always pretty hard hitting to watch. Los Angeles goes to San Francisco as a 4.5-point favorite. Matt Stafford climbing up the MVP board as well. This Niners team, as hurt as they have been, they've managed to put together 6 wins. They're getting a little bit healthier. They should be getting Brock Purdy back soon with Mac Jones playing well. This Rams defense is really good. They're loaded on offense. So these games are always real physical. I'm sure you guys can hear my dog.
He's saying hello.
Yeah, she's been itching at the door to go outside. She runs like a baby giraffe. But yeah, like I look at the Rams and they're one of the more complete teams to me. And San Francisco is just way hurt. So I like the Rams. I like the Rams going to Levi Stadium and coming out with a win on this one.
Yeah, I feel like the Rams they should be favored to win this one. Not because just the 49ers are still on the process of recovering. And once the Niners are back to full strength, they're going to be a tough out. I mean, that's, Brock Purdy is really good.
They're missing their two best defensive players, though.
They are. But you plug and play. But the Rams are a very complete team. I would say they're probably one of the more complete teams in football right now. Just underrated defense. Stafford's elevating his play, and that's par for the course for Stafford. Stafford's always been a really good, complete quarterback. He's got weapons around him. He can make things happen. I give the Rams a slight edge. It could be a completely different story should they meet again later in the season.
Yeah, no, that one will be in LA, but yeah, we both got the Rams on this one. So I like that we're in agreement, except for that Patriots one. I like that we're in agreement on this one. Sunday Night Football, Pittsburgh goes to Los Angeles, staying on the West Coast. Pittsburgh at 5-3 goes and sees the Chargers at 6-3. The Chargers 2.5-point favorites. That's the home field advantage type of thing because they're without tackles. This will be again another game where they don't have Joe Alt, so it's got to rely on what Justin Herbert can do with his legs, and what they can do in the run game to kind of make up for these deficiencies along the offensive line.
Yeah, and I feel like the Steelers have a little too much weaponry. I think, if you put Aaron Rodgers in a nice stable environment like SoFi Stadium, he'll do well. As much as like I kind of like the Chargers just to kind of, like upset the status quo a little bit, there's only so much Justin Herbert can do. And oh my gosh, I mean, he's probably going to drag the Chargers kicking and screaming. This could be a really fun game. If Herbert's not running for his life for half of the game, but I give the edge to the Steelers. I feel like they just have more going for them than the Chargers.
I feel like if they can create the turnovers, the type of turnovers that they created against the Colts, and they very well could. It very well could be that the Justin Herbert's susceptible to doing that and creating those turnovers. That this game could get out of hand. I feel like the defense, TJ Watt, this feels like a game where TJ Watt feasts a little bit and gets after Justin Herbert. But yeah, I like the Steelers in this one as well. Kind of widen their lead in the North. We finish off the week. Philly goes to Green Bay for Monday Night Football. This is Jalen Hurts against Jordan Love. Josh Jacobs against Saquon Barkley and the two good defenses. But I mean, as we talked about it earlier, Green Bay has problems with good defenses. They have, and now they're missing Tucker Kraft, who's out for the season. So they're going to have to figure out a way to beat up on this really good Philadelphia defense without their best tight end.
Yeah, and that's going to be tough to do. Yeah, the Steelers will feast on that weekend Chargers own line, no doubt.
Over under 4 sacks.
Yeah, over under 4 sacks from TJ Watt alone. But I feel like the Eagles, like I feel like at the trade deadline, I think they shored up their defense a little bit too. And if Jalen Hurts can kind of get going a little bit, the Eagles are dangerous. And then I'm always like a Cooper DeJean guy. I saw that guy play basketball, and that guy he was a man amongst boys, even in high school. But yeah, like the Eagles just have way too much on the defensive side of the ball. I don't know if the Packers will kind of kick out the melees they've been in offensively as of late. But so that's why I'm going to tip my hat towards the Eagles.
Yeah, I like the Eagles in this one because, again, for all of the problems that they've had, for all the questions that you've had about the Eagles, when they get going, they get going. They really get going. And I think they've done it. Their spurts of doing that have been a lot longer than what we've seen from Green Bay. And it just, again, they know how to win. They know how to get it going. And it looks like some of the problems that they had at the beginning of the year have gone away. So I feel like, yeah, this is going to be another notch for Philly. And they're going to be a really strong contender in the NFC coming out of this one. This will probably open up the door for the Lions too, to kind of take over the North as well. Because right now Green Bay somehow, some way is still sitting in first place.
Yeah, incredible.
That'll do it. That'll do it for game previews, guys. One more sponsor. Again, going back to the Amarillo Magic Company, and we'll be back with the Extra Picks.
The Extra Point is also brought to you by the Amarillo Magic Company. The Amarillo Magic Company is dedicated to bringing amazing magic and illusions to your parties, events, or corporate functions, featuring the amazingly talented Kyle Groves. Make your event or party magical and reach out to the Amarillo Magic Company today.
Got a question in the chat. What up, gentlemen? How do you feel like the top 3 draft picks will play out? I feel like I don't know the order right now, but I feel like the teams that are going to be there, the Saints are going to be there. I feel like the Jets are going to be there, and I would say man, I could see the Dolphins being there in the top 3 picks right now. I don't know who's going to get the number 1 overall pick, but yeah, I really feel like those are the 3 I've got for those are going to be the ones top 3.
Sure. I think you got to throw in the Titans in there too. Kind of the most irrelevant team in football right now, even though they have the number 1 draft pick in Cam Ward. And Cam Ward is a very good quarterback. He just doesn't have anything around him. So I think it's any one of those 4. I would probably lean on the Saints just because the Saints are, they feel like the Aints of old, more than anything. Maybe just someday, maybe they just need to tank it for another year and look to be in the Arch Manning sweepstakes. But, yeah, it's any one of those 4, to be honest with you.
Right now, the top 3, as of today, Titans, Saints, Jets, in that order. That's the way the order looks right now for the top of the draft. As far as who they get, I think this whole draft is going to determine on if Arch Manning comes out or not. I think that's going to set the tone for this whole, no matter how well he plays at Texas or not. If he continues to have games like he had this past Saturday, then I think you're going to get more of it. But if he comes out, I think that's going to determine how this entire draft goes.
Right. And like in going back to the college game, just a little bit. Yeah. Like Arch Manning is finally kind of finding his footing, and people were kind of not high on him for a while. It's like, well, he's struggling. And I don't think that's the case. I mean, everybody goes through early struggles. I mean, even Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, they've all had those bumps. Arch Manning's no different. And we're going to probably talk about him like we talk about Peyton Manning or Eli Manning, 10 years down the road. I may sound like a prophet when I say that. You can hold me to it. You can beat me over the head, 10 years down the road when I show up on the Extra Point. And we're talking about, the Titans being really good or the Saints being really good. But yeah. I
feel like the Titans are in perfect position to trade that pick.
Oh yeah.
I feel like they're gonna. I feel like they're
absolutely.
Yeah, I feel like they're gonna hold. I feel like they're gonna hold Arch Manning for ransom, and try to get as much as they can with that pick. Arch needs to stay 4 years like Peyton. Hey, I think more college guy. Well, not with some of the way eligibility has been in college, where you got guys that are on their 7th year of eligibility. But yeah, I do feel like
Cam Rising,
right? Yeah, 4 years in college. Definitely for Arch Manning, probably would help him out. Although I've never been the biggest Steve Sarkisian fan. But we'll move on. This is the extra picks. So, guys, these are my picks this week on Prize Picks. If you guys have not gotten to Prize Picks, I don't have a promo code yet. I'm working on getting one. But, again, we need to get those likes, shares, and subscribes up. So that way I can get my own promo code. And you guys can go get bonuses for Prize Picks.
Get that algorithm going.
There we go. Yeah, definitely want that to happen. But these are my picks. I got some good promos running this weekend. And they got promos running all the time. But these are my extra picks for this week. First off, you'll like this one, Tyler. Bo Nix, over 217.5 yards. I think he hits that easily against this Raiders team.
Okay, yeah, I'll take that. I mean, as a Broncos fan, I'll take that every day and twice on Sunday.
There we go. Hopefully, well, maybe twice on Sunday. Twice on Thursday this week. Next up, we got Kyren Williams, over 66.5 rush yards for the Los Angeles Rams. Again, banged up defense with San Francisco. He's been playing pretty well. This team is very complete. I think a lot of their focus is going to be on Puka and on Devontae Adams. This will allow Kyren Williams, I think, to get that yardage.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. I mean, when you have two of the better receivers in the game, that just opens things up for your big guys up front to maul people and allow your running backs to, get plenty of yardage.
The best receiver in the league, I've got him over 97.5 receiving yards as Seattle hosts the Arizona Cardinals this week. I mean, again, he's been on fire. And he's on, I believe he's still on pace for over 2,000 yards as a receiver.
And you got Sam Darnold, who's playing probably some of his best football in his career, in his professional career. So, I mean, yeah, I can easily see this happening.
And
too.
on top of that, they gotta figure out now they gotta draw attention to Rashid Shaheed. So
Yeah.
I think they gotta figure out how they play Jackson Smith and Jigba. Well, Tyler, there it is. Your first episode of The Extra Point is in the
I
books.
made it. I survived.
You did it. Yes. We even got a rant and everything out of this one. And hey, we have a great viewership tonight, guys. Thank you guys for joining us again. Like, share, and subscribe. We got the hat. We got the giveaway for the hat that needs to be triggered, guys, right here. So 50 follows on Twitch. I need 200 likes on YouTube or 500 likes over on Facebook. But definitely hit that like, share, and subscribe button every Wednesday at 8:30. Tyler, man, I want to have you back, man. This was fun. This was a good episode.
And I had fun too.
Dragged you out of bed and everything.
Yeah, I know. Shows that I need to do a little more research, but hey, it's great. I always love talking football. My specialty has always been high school football. I mean, I could talk like Iowa high school football. I could talk Texas high school football, even South Dakota high school football.
Shoot, man.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
You'll appreciate this. So I grew up, anyone that knows me, I grew up in Midland, Texas, right?
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in Midland, Texas in the 90s. And that was Cedric Benson, Eric Winston. I went to Midland. I graduated from Midland Lee. So I was Cedric Benson, Eric Winston, and then playing for Permian was Roy Williams. So I had games where all three of those guys were in the game at the same time. So and then following that was Craig Yenser and the Midland Bulldogs and getting to watch Baron Batch on that field as well for Midland High. So yeah, there's some good high school football.
There is some excellent high school football. And then I'm for some odd reason, I'm in the Division II football. Like,
hey, that's fun.
And I cover West Texas A&M. They're kind of out of the playoff race, but they're a very fun team to watch. RJ Martinez is probably the best thing that happened since Dustin Vaughn, who actually spent time with the Dallas Cowboys. And they have an Amarillo native, Jamel Acosta Lewis. Shout out to him, the Caprock alumnus. He had 2 big interceptions in the Buffs win over Texas A&M Kingsville. That was like a 53-48 win for the Buffs. Wow. Yeah.
Well, you got anything you want to let everyone know about where we can find you?
Oh my gosh. Where do I even start? Okay. All right. I have a podcast. It's called The Unfiltered Podcast. We live stream or we put on a show 2 p.m. on Sundays. So it's kind of hard to get Ryan on unless we pre-record. But we're not against pre-recording, but that's on YouTube. We'll plug that in sometime. And then you can find me on Facebook at Tyler Anderson, SON sports journalist. That's where you can find me. I am almost at 1,000 followers.
There you go, man.
And I somehow, some way people follow me. I don't know. I just write and take pictures at the end of the day. But other than that, thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute blast. I love talking football.
Here we go.
Even if I'm just like, hey, Ryan, take the reins, Jesus, take the wheel.
I'm not that good.
Oh, don't sell yourself short. But no, it's been really fun. And, I am totally game for coming on someday. Even if you're in a pinch, man, just shoot me a message. I'll jump on for you.
Let's go. Well, that'll do it for this week, guys. Thank you all for joining. Again, be sure to hit that like, share, and subscribe button so we can get this giveaway triggered, man. And we got other giveaways too. We're looking at doing our first live show, hopefully by the Super Bowl. We tried last year, but sickness and all that kind of stuff got in the way at the very last minute. Gosh darn those food poisoning. But definitely, guys, like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you guys next week, 8:30. Until then, goodbye. Good night.